thank Rick and John, as well as the rest of the coordinating group of the Dayton Preservation Society, and the way that they've done this in a very even-handed, level-headed approach. I think too many times when we have to deal with a lot of these issues, the approaches aren't always that way, and it makes it a lot more difficult to work with the community. So thank you. And I'm sure that my fellow council members that are here would share that same sentiment. I'd like to thank my co-sponsors, both Councilwoman Watson and Councilwoman Siggety, who are both here tonight. I'd also like to thank, I have had conversations with both Councilman Ball, Dr. Ball, and with Councilwoman Jen Terrassa, who've also both have given very positive feedback regarding these bills. As far as additional thank yous, Karen Knight, my special assistant, was mentioned. She's the one who's been fielding all this stuff from the beginning. Thank you, Karen. And many of you who attended the planning board meeting, which I was not able to attend, got to see one of our unsung heroes who doesn't get out there talking for us too often in public, and that's Theo Wimberly, who's our legislative analyst and who's been working very hard with me and with you guys on both bills and the CRAs. And I also know, here tonight, and I think some of them may have left, but I know there's at least a couple that are still here, is some of the farmers from the community, and for what they do and being out there, tending to the land and providing us what we need to sustain ourselves. So I want a big thank you to all of them. I know they're looking at me like I'm crazy. So any time that that we, the council, or legislative bodies anywhere, do something, we do try to, some more than others, but generally, whether it's in this county, other county, state, federal, people do try to look at the unintended consequences of what's out there, and we did try. It wasn't that we didn't. When we were hearing this particular issue, as well as a number of others, this was not one that we received either positive or negative feedback on. So there was no red flags. There was nothing out there based off of somebody promoting it that we thought this particular issue was getting done, or vice versa, anybody fighting the particular issue. But when we passed the comprehensive zoning, the general goals were to both protect farming and to protect the residents. And sometimes it's hard. It's a difficult balance. It's been one of the more difficult things, as Rick pointed out, or John, one of the two of them pointed out a little bit earlier. It's tough to balance it all. But at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is protect, and have predictability. And at the time we passed the bills, there was actually a number of things that we were doing that was potentially going to impact some things with farming and the horse community. And we try to get them all done as we're trying to get through there. And one of the comments I made was whether it was the farming community or whether it was the general residents as a whole, is that if we did anything in the process that inadvertently was an unintended consequence that came out, having to do with either side, even if it provided more protections to the residential community, and it turned out it was at the unknown expense of an existing right of the farming community, that I'd be the first, as soon as I knew what was going on, to go out there and do what I could to rectify that. And I made that commitment to you guys when I came out to one of the earlier meetings, that was a goal. It wasn't to make it any more restrictive than things were there before. And I'm glad to see that the county executive, and I got this the text from in conversation on my way over here regarding that same issue, and I'm glad that now they're closer to the same page after having a DPZ report that said what I was doing wasn't consistent. Thank you. Consistent with the general plan and both the DPZ findings as well as in the planning board findings, which I thought didn't really make a lot of sense, because what I was doing, and with this was protecting ag-pres land. It was already in ag-pres. How could I be harming ag-pres land? So it's good to see that changed. But with that said, I am going to step back from that a little bit. if there are existing operations, I don't know to this point, so I'm going to ask, since I have somebody from the administration here, I'm going to ask that you ask the administration if there are any existing conditional uses that are there in place that would be negatively impacted by that regulation. Because that, I'm going to just tell you guys, you know, I'd have a hard time supporting something if it was existing and legal, not an illegal operation, but an existing legal operation that's in place right now. I want to make sure that we are not doing anything that would potentially impact somebody's, you know, legal livelihood right now. We might need to do things and make sure certain safety and other things and put some additional, you know, rules to make sure things are being complied with, but I wouldn't want to do that, if you understand what I'm saying. All right, so thank you. So, you know, going back, you know, we said if we made a mistake, and we made one, we, including me, the council, we all made a mistake, in my opinion, I think, and the county executive, and I think that's what you're hearing, you know, here tonight is sort of confirmation that we do have, I think, pretty good support. And I think back then, at that meeting, I was telling you that, yeah, those are the different ways, but I was going to file the ZRA, and I was glad to see you guys did it as well. But the goal was going to be, Rick and John were talking about how you were going to have to go out there and raise more funds, was not to be in the position to have to go raise more funds at the end of this process, is to be in the position that, you know, you can use those for your family, your kids, whatever it might be, but that hopefully we can get this cleared up. You guys can get back to your lives. You can start going to bed at midnight instead of 3 and everything. Want to clarify a couple of things. These are actually council bills, not resolutions, so it's CB 20 and CB 21. So just wanted to just so if you guys are looking out there for what they are, and that only one of them will pass. So, you know, there'll probably be amendments to, you know, whether it's that amendment or some other amendments having to do with things. At the end of the day, only one will pass. You know, I'll do my best to be in touch with your board as we're going through that process. You know, we may ask at the end of the day if maybe withdrawing one or, you know, one of the two bills and then making the amendments to one of them so we can focus on things. But that's just the way, you know, you have to do it. If not, just everything would be in conflict. So, you know, that's really it. I mean, you know, we're going to do everything we can. I think you guys should hopefully, after seeing the co-sponsorships, hearing the positive words I've received from other council members, hearing what you heard from Jenny regarding the administration, should be feeling a lot more comfortable tonight, but that doesn't mean to let your guard down. So with that, thank you very much.